Just a quick disclaimer before watching this video. Don't take this too serious, right? Do I recommend that you lower springs at home with an OXY? No, I don't, okay? Do people do it? Yes, they do. And it's been done for a long time. Is it the right way to do it? No, it probably isn't. For the sake of, if you have got some springs there and for the sake of, what is it, 120 bucks, it's probably not worth the mucking around. But this is just a little bit of experiment that I wanted to do. And look, I think I achieved what I set out to do, but I may have went just a little bit too far. But anyway, I'll let you decide. All right, enjoy. Hello. Okay. Tonight, we are working on lowering the HQ. We put some lowered springs in it, and they're meant to be, we actually put LH Tirana springs in it, and they're actually meant to be lower than lowered HQ springs. And look, it still needs to come down probably, I think about 2 inches roughly. I'm gonna lower the original springs in a bit of a, you know, it's sort of the old school way of doing this, using an OXY. We're gonna bring it down probably, hopefully another couple of inches. This may be a little bit low, but look, it just gives us something to go off. I don't want to fuck around with the lowered springs because the missus is driving it nearly every day. I don't want to sort of have it off the road too much, but it might get to the stage where, you know, I've got to pull them lowered springs out and send them in to be professionally done. People have done this look, man has been doing this for millions of years, and lowering cars this way. Look, you see a lot of people saying not to do it this way, but no one's really got, like, you might hear about someone that snapped a spring or something like that. And you hear of a lot of people as well that done it this way and had no issues whatsoever. I know I've seen it done this way and the cars still drive around today, and that was probably about 15 years ago. It's just one of them things. If you don't feel safe doing it, don't do it. But look, if you haven't got the coin sitting around and you need to get yourself out of a jam, and you've got access to the OXY, this might be the best way to do it. So I've got one I've already done, and I've just been getting the machine all set up. And when I say machine, look, a press, and you do have to be wary of things flinging out to the side or whatever. I've got a horizontal press that sits horizontally. I can lay the spring in it and push it up while I'm heating it and that. I was actually going to use the vertical press, but it's just taking a bit too much to set up. So there's all sorts of things you could make to make your life a bit easier. If you're doing this and you've got access to an OXY kit, I'm guessing that, you know, you've probably got access to other things like welders and all the rest of it to make yourself up some jigs. But as you'll see, look, I'm just doing it the simple way, and at this stage I'm not taking it crazy serious. I'm sort of half wanting to do a good job, but my main thing is I want to get both the springs the same. Now, the other thing you will see is a lot of people talk about cutting the springs, right? Yes, I'm all for that. If you can cut the springs on your car, then do it, you know. With this particular car, and with some other cars, HQs in particular, they have a smaller end up here that locates, and an end here that locates. Now, I did sort of mention this in the last video, but if you just cut it through here, then you've got obviously a big wide opening, and they'll slop around, fall out, or especially if you did it at the bottom, they just slip straight off the pad. They'd end up all over the show. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Now, give you a quick demo. Here's one that I just did. Okay, so that one there, and that is compared to that one there. Okay, so a bit of a difference in height, and I'm going to quickly show you how I did it. All right, let's get into it. Now, the danger, a lot of people, and it's true, you can put too much pressure on the spring, and if you're using a vertical press, it flick out and hit you in the face, you know, and it's the same with this, exactly the same, and you do yourself a lot of damage. So the thing is, don't put too much pressure on it. You want to put a little bit of pressure on it, something that you can handle, you know, if it does kick out to the side, a little bit of pressure, and you want to start applying the heat, so then it will just start collapsing as you put a little bit more pressure on it, and you can't really go wrong. Just turn that off for a second so you can hear me. Now, that's already got a bit of pressure on it, okay? But it hasn't got enough pressure on it that's gonna like jump out and chop your head off. So you have to be really aware of that. So what we're gonna do is we put a bit of pressure on it. Now, when heating, I heat it up pretty much every second one on opposite sides. You will notice that the spring does contort, but you can bring that back. The further you get into it, the more compressed it gets, you start to work out where to heat it. I guess the biggest bit of information you can have is if when we're doing this, okay, you heat about 180 degrees around from the piece that you want to actually come down and collapse onto it. So we're going to put these two bits of spring here together, okay, these ones. So what I've got to do is heat it in here, and that will allow that to twist down and come onto this spring. Okay, so you'll see that, and you can work your way all the way up, and then at the end, you know, as you relieve it and bring it back together, you can start to see where you've got to do what to. And you know, this one here, this was the experimental one. We brought that down, so you know, we can sort of see roughly when we're getting close. It takes a lot of mucking around with different chocks. I'm not using anything special here, I'm just chocking it, and so I can bottom out the machine and I know when it's ready to, that's it, to call it a day. All right, I want to say one more thing. I'm no professional in lowering these springs by heat, right? So if you work at a spring repair shop or a spring lowering place, you know, you're probably going to see plenty of mistakes. But one of the biggest things that I think people do when I've seen it done is they will heat up just a small thin spot like that, concentrate on it, and bring it down like that. Now that's fine, that will achieve the same thing, but I think that's why people get brittle shocks. You're heating up one little tiny piece of this whole spring. So I always I like to think that if you can heat up a larger area of the spring, okay, even put a bit of heat, preheat into all the spring. That's what I did with the other one. I actually was running the torch up and down it just a little bit, didn't get it too crazy hot, just a little bit, and I didn't just focus putting it on one spot. I know that works, but I actually preheated around it a fair bit so I could get everything sort of nicely starting to move. All right, let's give it a go. All right, so what I'll do now, I've got the compressor running. I'm gonna actually just cool it off with air. Don't just drench it in water. You can look up on the net proper ways to drench spring steel. I think it might be oil, not sure, check that. But I'm just gonna cool it off like this, just sort of, or you can just let it cool naturally if you're sure it's in the right spot. If you've done it in the car, unlike this, then you can kind of, you know, get it in the ballpark and just leave it and let it cool overnight. Don't go driving it around, obviously. Major coil to come in is this one here, so bring that in a bit closer and not too crazy, and then we've got to work on these ones up here, bringing them in a little bit more. This has just got to drop a little bit, but these have to come in so they're pretty much touching. So I've just finished letting the second spring cool down, and we'll just compare them. So that's them there, and roughly the same height, right? And when I say roughly, it's pretty close. Look, there's a few different variants with this sort of stuff. If you do it properly, keep things at the same temperature, heat the springs both at the same time, yada, yada, yada. We know all that sort of stuff. As I say, this is just a temporary thing. Just pretty much seeing what the car's going to look like a little bit lower, and if these are going to actually work, then I can go get me good springs done. So, all right, let's go chuck them in the car and see what the end result is. All right, back in the garage. This is the old girl. If you haven't seen the other videos, we've just got her on the road, but there's still a few little issues we're dealing with. So I just measured this before, and we're looking around about 655 it's sitting at. So we probably want to get that guard down around about the 600, 610 mark, so they're hugging the tyres. These tyres aren't going to be the ones that are on it. Obviously they're a bit old and shitty, but they'll probably end up scraping on the inner guard. I don't want to really modify this at the moment, at this stage, if I can help it, so I'll get another tyre and just get it pulled in a bit. So we want to get it down at least covering here, this top of this tread pattern. All right, let's chuck the new springs in, or not the new springs, the modified springs in now, and see how it sits. All right, I put them in. They're way too low. Look, with a different tyre combination, they'd probably be right, but I've got a feeling they're going to sag just a little bit. They will sag, and it's not a permanent thing. So look, kind of a blessing in disguise. I'm just doing what I was going to do anyway. While I got the lowered springs out, I've sent them in to get professionally lowered, 40 mil taken out of them. So they're LH Tirana springs, and lowered another 40 mil upon it. And we're just about to chuck them in. And hopefully it should sit about there. All right, well that's them there. These are the springs. So these are LH Tirana springs. I asked him to lower them another 40 mil. We'll be able to chuck these in, and then we should get it sitting where I measured it. With a HQ, it's 1:1. So what I mean by that is, if you need the guard brought down 10 mil, you just lower your shocks 10 mil. When I've done mine and heated them up and done them, I've done them and allowed about 25 mil to compress, but being the original springs, and you know, I'm not a professional, they probably squashed down about 50 mil, a little bit too much. It's all right, they had to come out anyway, and got to experiment with it as well, which was what I wanted to do. But look, for 120 bucks to go just send your ones in to get them done, and it's properly done. There was no way I was going to do what I did to these springs. Like, I wouldn't have done it to a good set of springs. I just want to experiment with the old ones. Anyway, let's chuck the good ones in, see how it sits. Yeah, looking at these, I probably did. I probably was a little bit ambitious with the lowering. It's probably, yeah, a good inch lower I went. So you could fix that. You could heat them up again and that, but I'm not going to muck around. It's probably a good thing too, if you are going to do it and you was planning on keeping them springs. I just didn't really want to risk it, and I'm not really set up with an OXY at home where I've got the hoist and everything like that. But if I had a hoist at work, I probably would have just got under there and heated them up in the car, and then that way you can sort of, as it drops down, you can sort of tell and stop when it's at the right height. We tried, it's a fail, you know, we failed, but look, we got these ones to go, and professionally done. Hopefully it sits about right. All right, we just got it back down on the ground, and I'll just give this a little bit of a push to try and settle it in. Now, I've got no doubt in my mind that these tyres are going to scrape, so I'm still going to have to go a different wheel tyre, not different wheel tyre, I'm still going to have to go a different tyre combo. Look, it is down just that bit more. It's not as low as I thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to get it down to close to this thing here, but in saying that, got to be patient. The springs have only just been done, so you know, got to drive around now, let them sit, take it for a little bit of a drive. They will settle in and they will come down a bit more. So if you're doing the same sort of thing at home, don't make any drastic decisions. Don't go to start lowering things even more. Just, you know, drive around for a month and see what happens, because no doubt these will come down a little bit. All right, just got back, just took it for a quick run. It's pretty good, right? It's sitting all right, but it is scuffing just the slightest bit. You can see it around here. So I've took the wheels off, and as I say, I need to get new tyres anyway, so I'll take them into the tyre shop, see if we can get a bit of a combo. Hello, sorry, I had to that quickly cut out because the battery went flat in the GoPro. Right, since I was just showing you the tyres, it's been a week, but since I was just showing you the old tyres that I pulled off and they were scuffing, I put the new tyres on. So the tyres that were on it were 225 65 14s, and I got some 215 65 14s. So it's roughly about 10 mil narrower tyre. Takes about 5 mil off the inside, 5 mil off the outside. So that's all it was roughly scuffing by. It's worked out all right. So I've just got them on there. Just got a slight bit of scuffing, and that's because we had the car loaded up, taking people for a drive and everything like that. As you can tell, the car's absolutely filthy at the moment. We've got some roadworks going on, so we've got potholes everywhere. So, I mean, the suspension's been getting a bit of a workout. We wanted to see if it does scuff and if it's going to clear and be all right. So it seems to be, going all right. I'd say the suspension, I'd like to say it has settled in a lot more. I'd probably say I'd like to say it's come down about 10 mil. It hasn't come down that much, I don't think, but between 5 and 10 mil, I'd say it's actually come down over the tyre. So that's suspension. So our springs that we got done, not the ones that I done and fucked up, the professionally lowered springs, the properly done ones, they've started to settle in. So it's actually brought the car down. It sits good. It sits good. It's tucked them tyres up in there, and look, we're happy with it. It doesn't scuff except for pretty extreme conditions, and yeah, the missus has been driving around this week, and yeah, we're a lot happy with how it sits. I couldn't keep it the way it was. It just looks terrible. So hopefully in the next week I'll get a bit of a chance to get it outside. We'll take it for a drive, do a bit of a walk around on it, and you'll be able to see it outside how it actually sits. It looks a lot better than it's sitting here on the ramps. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you've enjoyed seeing me fuck up a set of springs, lower them way too much, not doing anything the correct way until I decided to just pay the professionals to do it. And 120 bucks, it's cheap. As I said from the start, I wasn't ever going to run them springs full time, but I did want to experiment with heating the springs up and lowering them. Just wanted to go a little bit more extreme, but it was just a bit too much. It was a bit too low. Would that way of lowering springs work? It will, right? It has worked for a long time. Is it safe? I don't know, right? So I don't recommend you do it, but what you do in your own shed, in your own time, that's up to you. All right, that's going to wrap it up, and thanks for watching.